Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and joining me today, he's spending nights in his freezer to get ready for the cold of Michigan. It's Justin Hausman!
I wonder if that would work. I mean, I can't really fit in there, I guess.
We're going to Michigan in a couple weeks,
about 2 weeks from today, I think.
It is 2 weeks from today.
It's been really cold here, relatively speaking. I mean...
In the Bay?
Yeah, well, in North Bay, at least. Yeah, like, you know.
It is.
I mean, ice on the windshield and stuff every morning.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a big deal here.
It was 36 here.
I still don't see how it could be that cold down there. That's wild.
It was. When I took the kids to school, and then I looked and I'm like a couple days before, because the forecast doesn't go out that far. It's like, oh, Marquette, Michigan, high of 20. I'm like, I'm going to die.
Oh, you grew up. You got that thick blood. You grew up with it.
I don't know. I think it goes away pretty quick. I think so. Justin and I are going to Michigan we're getting toured around the Upper Peninsula to do some cool outdoorsy stuff that we'll talk about in the podcast in the future. But that's in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be rough for the California boys, I feel like, compared to some of the other folks who are probably going to be there with us.
I'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. I got jackets.
All right. Well, today, Justin and I will be reacting to some stories that come out of the outdoor adventure community, including a partnership for Black Diamond. We're going to take a stop into Hausman's house to talk about news coming out of the National Park Service and also what is happening out there with a really big block of ice. But before we get to any of that, if you missed Monday's episode of The Rock Fight, go back and check it out. We talked about REI's exclusive that they have about Ultra's new Lone Peak, the one with Vibram. They have an exclusive on that. And we had brought on a specialty retailer who's not real happy about that. And then also come back this Friday for the conversation that Justin and I are going to have with Rochelle Schrute from Gear Junkie. We're going to talk about why human-powered outdoorsy people hate hunters.
That is not true.
Some probably do.
Well, some definitely do. But I mean, I would not make blanket statements like that, Colin.
Well, fine. That's a good point. But we're actually recording that conversation later this week, so we'll see what we talk about. But that episode will go up on Friday. So, Justin, what do you have to tell our listeners, the listenership?
I'm here to browbeat folks into subscribing to the Rock Fight weekly newsletter.
Your whole bonus, Rock Fight bonus, is tied to subscribers.
Yeah, I get 0% of zero. So, but yeah, folks, the newsletter, it's fantastic. It comes out every Tuesday. Which is frankly, it's a good day for a newsletter. You know, Monday, I'm not really feeling it. Tuesday's kind of like, I don't even know. Like Wednesday already feels like you're making it through the week. So Tuesday is kind of the most important day of the week, really.
It's a little pick-me-up.
Yeah. So, and you get exclusive content that is not living anywhere else on the old Rock Fight. This is a real newsletter. It's got real content. It's not just another outdoor link aggregator like you're going to get from so many other places. This is definitely something you're going to enjoy and look forward to reading. So head over there to rockfight.co. That's our website, and click on join the mailing list. You'll get a little pop-up, and you will be annoyed by it. And a real good way to get that pop-up off your screen is just go ahead and give us your email address and sign up for the newsletter.
Should we like rig it so you can't get rid of it?
Yeah, like every time you click, it moves. You're like, ah.
Yeah, you got to enter it. You can't go to another website until you enter it.
I mean, I get it, folks, but trust me, you're going to be stoked on the newsletter.
Yeah, this is a good one.
And also, if you're new around here, we would love for you to subscribe and to join the Rock Fight by hitting the follow button on whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. And while you're there, give us that 5-star rating that we deserve, that I think we deserve, that we deserve, frankly.
Hey, last thing I want to mention in the little programming reminder section, we talk a lot about, we solicit emails a lot, like, hey, send us an email to myrockfight@gmail.com, which you should. I started to think of and we get a fair amount of them. A lot of them, though, a lot of repeat emailers, or a lot of just, hey, love what you guys are doing. Things you can send us if you want to send show ideas. Not sure we'll do it, but we'd love to hear what you want to hear on this podcast. Yeah. Also,
I'm certainly not going to do it, frankly, but we still want to hear from you.
Yeah, we want to hear topics. What interests you? Like, what are the things you want to hear in the show? Like, what are ideas? Do you want us to, draft sports again? Do you want us to talk about movies? Do you want us to talk about more brand stuff? Send it on over. So just, send us suggestions. Send us what you like about the show. Send us what you dislike about the show. If you're like that guy last week who just hates us, we want to hear that too.
Hates you, Colin, doesn't hate me.
Sorry, hates me. He loves you and producer Dave. So anyway, yeah, please. So send us your emails, myrockfight@gmail.com. All right, so let's get into our top story today, which is presented by your hub for ultralight gear, garage-grown gear. And according to a press release I saw on Shop Beat Surf Outdoor, otherwise known as CISO, Black Diamond will be partnering with Rainier Mountaineering Incorporated, otherwise known as RMI, to inform product design, development, and field testing at Black Diamond. This news makes a lot of sense since BD President Neil Fisk was at the helm of Eddie Bauer when he collaborated with Mountaineer and RMI owner Peter Whitaker to launch First Ascent in a similar fashion. Meaning, and what I mean by similar fashion is using, the mountain guide team of RMI to inform the products that they were making at Eddie Bauer, now with Black Diamond. Also, after First Ascent, Peter launched Mountain Logic, which eventually became Bike Gear. And Mountain Logic was actually a collaboration at Polartec when I was there, so I got to see a little bit behind the curtain on that. And the reason I bring all that up is I think these kinds of collaborations are really obvious. Like every brand has athletes and ambassadors, and they give feedback on products, and those athletes and ambassadors give feedback on those products to the brands. But what I love about this is that the key players here are guides, and their feedback goes, beyond comfort or just sort of convenience. It's like, no, we have to be out there and take care of ourselves and our clients. So I know what I'm talking about when I say the zipper should go here, right? It's a little different. So I want to ask you, Justin, when I saw this headline, I thought it was an interesting conversation of, as someone who's evaluated a lot of gear in your career and apparel and everything, what are endorsements that a brand or individual can give that get you either interested or excited at this point? Because like we talk about so much, like it's just so much is the same and so much isn't that differentiated. This one has some weight with me. So I was just curious what you thought about that.
I mean, if an athlete or a pop star endorses a product, I know right then it's absolutely something I need to have. If Taylor Swift is endorsing it, I'm on board with that. If Shaq and Charles Barkley on NBA Tonight talk about it, I know it's going to be good.
How far down the list, like ABC listers, any sort of a celebrity you're okay with?
No, like if Mario Lopez is out there, like shilling for Brandon, nah.
That's the bot. You're like, no. But anybody above Mario, you're good.
No, I definitely think that I would say the only endorsements I care about, if I was going to care about them at all, would be from something like RMI, like some sort of service or a company where people's lives are on the line, and their business is on the line if the stuff that they're using doesn't work. If all of a sudden RMI is like, hey, we're going to use Kelty products for all of our stuff, I'd be like, huh.
Right. Right. That's a really, there you go.
I guess they've
Good
made
example.
huge strides in their products. Like honestly, it would get my attention like really fast. And so that's kind of the only one. I mean, I've even from my long days in the surf industry or surf media industry, like I never cared who rode for what surfboard label or what's like none of that matters because it's all kind of the same. So I don't really care all that much what like Alex Honnold has to say about products or whatever. Like it's fine. I don't know. It just doesn't matter to me. But when it's a brand, if I can see that this brand is on the top of Everest or Lhotse or something like that, then I go, okay, that's legit. Like that's a legit piece of gear. And RMI is as legit as it gets in terms of guiding services. So I think already just now from that story, I'm like, well, I guess Black Diamond is making, a big push into, I guess, expanding their line though. I don't really think of Black Diamond as like a high altitude brand, but maybe they do make things like for high altitude mountaineering and I just didn't know it.
That's a good point. I'd be curious how this informs the line because I know, yeah, they're kind of an all mountain brand, right? But also like with a really heavy emphasis on rock climbing. So that's a good point. If this is going to expand anything, or if they're just going to take those learnings and apply it across the board.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you think? Do you agree with that? I mean, if you see like a legit mountaineering service using products, you're going to assume that that's pretty good stuff, right?
Oh, without a doubt. I think your point is well founded because you think about like, I don't know, like. Well, we talk a lot about, the journey you go on and some of the stuff that you have to kind of go through to kind of realize, when to wear things or, what informs your outdoorsy journey when you go through things about what to like gear and apparel and things like that. And I've worn a tenth of the wetsuits you've worn in your life, but I've now surfed enough and been in the water enough and worn enough different things where I'm like, okay, I kind of get wetsuits, right? I know how they feel. I understand like some are stretchier, like or all the way up to the Patagonia, which isn't stretchy as all with the Ulix suits and all that kind of stuff. So if a guy like a Jamie O'Brien is like, hey man, Buell suits, they're the best. It's like, well, you're just getting a check probably more than right. They made the big, which is like, I don't begrudge him that. He's one of the best surfers ever, right? So he should have a big fat check from a wetsuit brand. That's how that goes. But I don't really look at it and say, wow, man, I should really be wearing Buell wetsuits because Jamie O'Brien said so. I might be more aware of that brand because he said so, but it doesn't really inform how I would view them from a performance point of view. But if somebody who is, like I said, you're up on the mountain when you're a guide, if you've ever done a guided trip on a mountain, you know what I'm talking about, where they have to think about, again, keeping themselves safe, but also keeping their clients safe, making all the right decisions. They don't have time to be distracted by the annoying thing in their kit.
They do not want to be thinking about the gear. Yeah.
Right.
So
if there's something Peter was, I had the chance to chat with him with another podcast I did called Layers, and he was talking about how one reason he got into sort of taking an interest in designing gear and apparel was he was sponsored by somebody, and they had a button on the pant that was right on his shin bone. And it was right at the top of his boot. So he's just trudging uphill, guiding. Again, he has to think of his clients first, while the whole time this button is just getting jammed into his shin bone for, that sounds horrible. And he can't, nothing he can do about it, except maybe cut it off, but then you got a hole in your pants. So I just think this is, and that's kind of what I mean. The brands are kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel right now when it comes to innovation stories. So something like this, I think, holds real weight. This is really going to, allow them to authentically differentiate themselves from their competitors when you have this kind of feedback and influence in your product lines. And I just don't know why more brands don't do more like it. It's usually just athlete driven.
Yeah.
And it feels more marketing driven.
I don't know. I mean, what opportunities would they have? There's only... I guess in theory, if you're if you're Old Town or something like that, or some sort of kayak manufacturer, you could probably, there's a lot of whitewater rafting services out there that you could probably, and they probably do, contract with them to use their stuff. But yeah, I don't there's that for the most part in, mountaineering, in outdoor sports, generally speaking, you have a bunch of solo actors. So you're going to have to just work with one particular athlete for the most part.
Well, and the guide thing too, again, back to having to work with clients. So, right. So even if you have a Dane Jackson, or you're a whitewater kayaking company, and you get to sign him, well, he's, again, one of the best kayakers, and he's going to be very specific about probably what he wants out of a boat. Yeah. Is that going to translate to the novice kayaker? Yeah.
That's why I don't care about what boards pro surfers ride. It's you could ride it. You could ride the top of this workbench, and probably do a turn on it. I don't care if you're riding Channel Islands or Rusty. It's all the same to me. I would put...
But that's a good point, though, because, what are the opportunities that exist other than, a handful of guide services? And even then, this is a very specific one, and that Peter's done this a couple of times now, right? Is there, is there a surf comp or somebody if these people endorse something, I might think better of that product?
No, because there's not really any services like that in the surf world. Not really.
Right.
And, it's never life or death, even... I guess you could say that, inflatable vests might be to a certain degree, but people surf without them all just fine. There's not anything where for the most part, you can get by
surfers to people wearing inflatable vests.
Yeah, you can get by with crappy shit for the most part in surfing. It's not going to be an issue.
That's true.
So no, there's not really a comp. What I'm thinking of though is that, I would go to, if I was going to go Garage Grown Gear, for example, and do some shopping for some ultralight stuff this coming summer. I'd probably go to Reddit and see what thru hikers are talking about, and that kind of thing, which is, going to be I would say that's probably on par with something like RMI, basically giving the I don't know, the endorsement, I guess, of Black Diamond. If thru hikers are generally all using the same pack, or you see a ton of people saying how much they love a certain kind of tent, I'm going to take stock in that for sure. So that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I imagine that some brands do that. I would hope they would. Because if it's just, here's the new ultra runner, so we're going to sponsor them, and now it's they're great because we're going to put them in ads and things like that, versus, hey, this person did the Triple Crown last year, and they have some really good opinions about what gear should be doing. And I imagine there's probably a little bit more of that in some of the more niche sports out there.
I guess what it really comes down to is that since we've already established that for the most part everything works, and everything's pretty good, and it's really just about taste and style. It's just if that's the thing that might be the thing that pushes somebody over the edge. I can't decide between this Black Diamond or this Mountain Hardwear, down suit or whatever you call the things that you wear at the top of Everest. RMI's using Black Diamond. Okay. I'll go with that.
I've heard you rave about First Ascent.
Well, I was thinking that too. And part of it is, there's almost a justification for having it when you see that, oh wow, this is actually some hardcore mountaineers love this stuff. That makes sense because I do too.
Right.
So, but I'm not,
because you're a hardcore
mountaineer.
That's
what I'm saying is I'm not putting it through the paces that these people are. So it's I thought this was pretty good. Turns out it is, which is nice.
So, Melissa Arnott may have worn us up Everest 5 times, but I sit in my garage and podcast, and let me tell you.
I got to walk down the street a few times a day. I can't have my jacket letting me down.
It may have worked for her. I don't know if it's going to work for me. We'll find out.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never frankly understood what the ROI is for anything involving having athletes wear your stuff. I don't know. It makes sense if you're marketing towards like teenagers, sure, they're going to be fired up, but to wear whatever their like skate hero is wearing. But other than that, I don't think I've ever made a decision based on what someone I saw was using or wearing or whatever.
Well, because most of them are that like B and C tier level personality, right? Like if you can get a Jimmy Chen, Alex Honnold, a Jamie O'Brien, somebody who's like, we know who that is. Like that's cool. Like, I get it. And like you put them in an ad or whatever. But if it's like, hey, this person is an awesome athlete and they're really, really good at what they've won like 100-mile ultra marathon or whatever, but no one really knows.
Well, also, they're going to
like,
be like people like that are going to do well with anything.
Exactly.
Like if you could get some like mid-40s dad who isn't nearly as athletic as they used to be or as fit as they used to be, I'm going to listen to that person more than I'm going to listen to a 25-year-old, peak of their fitness level person. Like that doesn't really help me. So
if I want to pump our own tires, would you rather have you and I endorse something over like an athlete?
If I'm a regular Joe Blow customer,
if you're a brand,
honestly,
right?
Yeah, because we're your target market, but we're not. Maybe we're not inspirational and say. we got to look into the inspiration aspect.
But well, listen, today's top story was presented by Garage Grown Gear. Listen, guys, going ultralight, it isn't all about overhauling your big three. You know what the big three are?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I am.
Backpack, tent, sleeping bag.
Yeah, pack, shelter, sleep system. It was right there in the outline.
I'm just looking at you, bud.
Without looking. Yeah. You're so honest. Often the joy of reducing your pack weight is in the addition, subtraction, or substitution of smaller accessory items from 4-gram bidets and ultralight sit pads to toothpaste tabs and inflatable pillows. Garage Grown Gear has hundreds of ultralight accessories to pique your outdoorsy interests. Check out the link in our show notes or just head to garagegrowngear.com. But only, guys, don't go unless you're prepared to have your mind blown, because that's what's going to happen.
Speaking of which, I saw, I think it was on Instagram, an ad for a backpack bidet. It wasn't the one that we've talked about. It looked like something that you thread. I think this is how it works. It looks like it's like a valve that you thread onto like a regular water bottle. And then you just squeeze the water bottle and it just shoots water.
Like implying that you should use your drinking water bottle?
That's the impression that I got. I mean, which
I don't know if I'm okay with that.
I mean, theoretically, you'd be fine. Like you're not like drinking. I guess
you're
not
there's
drinking
no,
from
the
thing that is
squirting. Like no anal backwash.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And I just saw the clip for long enough to be like, really? And then I like scrolled past. I should have. And then you can never find the ad again ever.
I kind of feel, I shouldn't feel bad, but I do, even because it's her fault. But anytime I see backpacking bidet, I just think of our friend Shante, who had talked about this over on Gear and Beer. Yeah. And it's like, I just now associate backpacking bidets with Shante.
Well, you should. Yeah. She knows more about it than we do. She's definitely used these things.
All right, man, let's take a stop in Hausman's house. What's the theme? You going to do the theme song?
Do I have a theme song?
I don't know. Or you just like come up with one.
Just right now, just come up with a theme song.
Hausman's house.
No. You just hear the natural.
This is where we talk about
natural sounds of Hausman's house. Just
you can hear it. Like, the door might be like, swaying in the wind a little bit back there.
There's that happy laughter of children.
You can hear the creak of a safe door in the backyard.
You can hear my will to live just draining out of me every single day.
Is
a little
the
bit more.
safe still there?
Yeah, of course it is. Dude,
that's of
course.
Long-time listeners will know the rock fight. The last day of the rock fight will be when that safe goes away. I mean, like, we can't do the show anymore.
Someday we'll either sell the house or die, and someone will sell it for us or something, and they'll be like, "Why is this safe out here?" And nobody will know.
All right, so at Hausman's house, what do we do here? We talk about some of the favorite things that our favorite outdoor journalist Justin Hausman has written about recently. So, Justin, we're going to start with a piece you put up over on nationalparkstraveler.org this past Sunday regarding the plan to eliminate plastics from our national parks. Why don't you walk us through what's happening with plastics in the national parks?
So basically, I want to say it was like 2017-ish, maybe a little bit, maybe more recently than that. So the national parks decided, you know what, we're not going to have single-use plastics anymore. Like, we're not going to make them available. We're not going to make them. You can't purchase them. We're basically going to try to eliminate the use of them at all in any national park property. And so, but that, I mean, obviously that's people just that's a great thing to do. Sure, let's do that. But I mean, can you imagine
Sounds great, but
the absolute
says easy, does hard,
nightmare
though, right?
of actually making that happen? And so there's an organization called the Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility, and so it's a like a nonprofit sort of watchdog group that's composed of largely people that work for the government, and so they like to hold sort of the Park Service. They don't only work with the Park Service, but they like to hold the Park Service's feet to the fire whenever they can. And so they basically reached out to every national park they could and got the information about what they were doing to actually make some of this happen. And in terms of actually reducing plastic use. And so there's a scorecard. You can go read it. And I just kind of went through what the parks are trying to do, which is largely what you would expect, right? Putting in drinking fountain systems or water bottle filling systems and just giving people it's so maddening to me when you go to Yosemite and you see all these people walking around with just like a Crystal Geyser plastic bottle of water in their hand, and you go like, what the hell? And then you realize, oh yeah, all the gift shops are full of them, so like, of course they're going to do that.
Exactly.
And so you get those out, you have less of it. And like, it seems like kind of, who cares, plastic, blah, blah, blah. But we know now that it's everywhere. I mean, it's in the atmosphere, microplastics are in the atmosphere, they're in the water, they're in our food, they're everywhere. So
we've talked about it.
And so it's like, why not take the step to think it's not just about keeping plastic out of the parks. That's great. But it's also about just kind of educating people that, hey, you don't need to do this. There's other ways. Just get a reusable bottle.
And what better place to do that than in a place of beauty, right? I mean, it makes all the sense.
And every single park you're going to is selling water bottles with the local mountain ranges and shit printed on them. So like, you have plenty of opportunity to not do it. Like, I don't think people really think about it, but yeah, it's $2 for a bottle of water, but you do that 10 times, you could have bought a water bottle, and so anyway, but it was interesting that Pierre is often very critical of what national parks are doing. They usually feel like they're not doing enough. But they actually were relatively complimentary. They were, their only real like critique was like, it shouldn't take another, so the parks want to have all of the single-use plastics out by like 2032. And so the real critique was like, it shouldn't be another 7 years. Like just speed the process
Rip
up.
the Band-Aid
like, you're doing
off,
all
man.
right, but like, let's speed it up. We could do this in a year or two. So, so it's like a good news, bad news situation, really. But it's pretty easy to imagine a future where you go to a national park and you don't have to worry about seeing like plastic bottles everywhere. I mean, that would be ideal. You
could also do what my wife does, she's single-handedly trying to, make sure everyone in the world has their own Hydro Flask, because her system is she buys a new Hydro Flask, she travels somewhere,
and leaves it.
And then she leaves it there.
Yeah.
She literally got home from somewhere.
To those?
I'm hoping that somebody finds it and uses it, because she literally got home from something she did with my daughter this weekend. She's like, I think I needed to buy another water bottle. I mean, this has happened like half a dozen times in the last like year and a half. I mean, it's just like, I'm like, okay, you're just, making sure everyone gets a reusable bottle.
I hope they are getting reused and not just like chucked. I have a beloved Yeti tumbler that's like a Danner branded tumbler that I got at OR like a long time ago. And it was just gone, like I just realized one day, where the hell is that? Like, I haven't seen it forever. Like, I have the lid. Where's the top? Where's the bottom? Like, I just could not, and I just kind of figured, I must have left it on my car one day or whatever. I don't know. It's gone. And then, I don't know, months later, I'm sitting in my, my favorite little bar down the street, Gestalt House here, classic, mountain bike sausage beer place. And I'm just kind of looking behind the bar and just, looking at stuff. And all of a sudden I see it. I see my Yeti tumbler up on their shelf. And I was just like, that's mine, to the bartender. They're like, oh, no way. And they're all, we wondered where it came from. And like, I'm like, can I have it back? Like, yeah, of course. Here. They're like, it's clean now. They're like, but you should know, this is what we used to like give when like homeless dudes come by and ask to like wash the windows for a beer. We usually give them one. This is the cup that we always use. I was like, I don't care. That's great. So anyway.
Did you keep it? Or did you let them keep their homeless guy beer cup?
They got their own. I wanted that back. They got mugs. They can give them mugs. But yeah, so sometimes you get them back. Sometimes you find them again.
That's great.
The outdoors is not a niche. It's way bigger than that. The outdoors is essential to our lives, essential to who we are as a species. And as the world continues to get smaller, as new advances in technology push us to the limits of the planet, the outdoors is more important than ever. Open Container is here to explore this new idea of the outdoors. We'll strive to uncover stories about creativity, adventure, conservation, politics, and the people who make the outdoor space so vibrant. The world is full of anxiety right now. climate change, politics, cultural upheaval. But fear not, there are answers in the outdoors. I'm Doug Schnitzpahn, and on this show, we will talk to people who are looking to nature to find the solutions we all need. We will be having honest conversations about how the outdoors can change us, how it heals us, how we learn from it, and how we can build a better world from what we learn about being outdoors. So please join us, open the container, and find out what's inside. Let's get some.
Open Container launches January 21st. Find and follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, last story today. It comes from Explorers Web. That the world's largest iceberg is on course to collide with South Georgia Island. South Georgia Island sits in the South Atlantic and is a rugged, remote island north of Antarctica and east of Tierra del Fuego. It's also the final resting place of Ernest Shackleton.
That's amazing.
But to me, the story about this, though, is the size of this iceberg, which is it's the size of Rhode Island.
Okay, that is thrown out all the time, and I know you're about to get to it, but I just think it's hilarious that's like nobody knows how big fucking Rhode Island is. What's weird
by state standards, it's incredibly
that's what I mean.
small.
The weird thing about it is you always use it to be like, wow, this thing is big, but you're using the smallest state in the like. I don't know what that means. Are you saying that it's small? Because Rhode Island is tiny. I hate that people use that comparison so much.
That's a fair criticism because it is sort of like I remember there's like a glacier in Alaska. Like, oh, it's the size of Rhode Island, but I think it's like 60 plus miles top to bottom. Rhode Island,
small state, but that's a giant iceberg.
We talk about stuff in the universe making us feel small.
An iceberg that's that big. Yeah.
This makes me feel smaller.
Yeah.
The fact that I could spend an hour driving across this iceberg if I was going 60 miles per hour, like that's insane.
Some YouTuber right now is thinking about a way to do just that. How am I going to get
Mr. Beast is probably like
how am I
going to
get my car out there? I heard about this on the radio this morning, oddly enough, probably on NPR, this exact story. Maybe not the Explorers Web one, but this iceberg might hit South Georgia Island. And apparently, I believe the scientific technical term is really fuck it up. Like it could do some serious damage. I mean, it can't be moving very fast.
No, it could disrupt. It could disrupt the bottom of the ocean as it gets closer. It could depending on how it collides with the island, because these are like 400 meters high. Is that how high?
So
how big
insane.
This thing is?
I wonder how deep it goes.
It could disrupt ecosystems on the island because there's like predators and penguins and stuff who live on the island. It absolutely could fuck things up.
You know what's amazing is if it's going slow enough to where if you were near and you're just kind of looking out one day, you're like, oh, look at that ice in the distance. Probably doesn't look like an iceberg. It looks like a giant like piece of sea, whatever, like almost like land, right? And then you go out the next day, you're like, is it closer? It can't be. Is that closer? And then it'll take you like 2 weeks before you're like, son of a bitch, I swear to God, it's closer. That's how it would have been before, in the good old days before we had any kind of technology or communications equipment. You'd be getting your buddies over here and be like, so what do you think? Is that getting closer?
There's a part of you like it'd be cool to see we'd all die, but it'd be interesting to see a big asteroid hit the Earth. But what would be interesting to witness that? I think it would be interesting to witness that, even though I don't want that to happen. Is this a sort of a smaller equivalent of that, where there's a camera set up on shore and here comes the iceberg? And I'll watch it till it hits. It'd be great.
I would absolutely watch that. That's a really good point. I would absolutely watch the hell out of that. I'm sure that will be a thing. It'll be like on explore.org. They'll have they'll somehow get a camera out there.
What's better, traveling to see an eclipse or watching a giant iceberg run into South Georgia Island?
Gosh. Probably.
Dude, it's the iceberg.
I don't know. I think it might be I think it might be let down. It might be you can't tell that right now continents are colliding. Is it going to it might be like that?
That's a good point.
It might just be like one day. It's not like there's going to be like a dock that's going to get crushed as this iceberg it's probably. I mean, the South Georgia Island is probably irregularly shaped. So who knows what it'll actually look like?
Well, I still think it's better because the eclipse, even when it happens, it's over in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
or
but
whatever.
But it takes your soul to the center of the universe or something. Like crazy stuff happens to you metaphysically when you see this.
Does?
I assume people get pretty whacked out about it.
They drive to Texas and shit to watch.
It sounds
the
like
eclipse.
you're imagining like a Looney Tunes level of collision with the iceberg's going to hit South Georgia Island and I don't know what's going to happen, but there'll be something funny and loud at the same time. I bet it won't be like that. I am also wondering if we knew this was happening, or if this is just did they just decide, wait a minute, is that moving? It seems like
no, it's been years. It actually got caught in a gyre for a while, and it was just sort of bobbing around, and then I guess it emerged, and now it's just on track to hit. I guess it's not infrequent that big icebergs are around South Georgia Island.
So
Because I think of the proximity to Antarctica. But,
well, you know what? So
Rhode Island jamming into you. You know, Rhode Island's big enough that if it bumped into you,
you
you'd
would
notice.
Yeah, you would. One thing I do always think about when it comes to this kind of thing is that the mechanics behind like sea ice breaking off, floating around, melting, blah, 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 can't be that different than like the ice cubes in a glass, right? And so like
just on a massive scale, basically.
Yeah, and so what I had to think of is like, okay, like my ice cube kind of broke off and it's just kind of floating around in my drink and like melting gradually, and it just and like I won't even think about it or notice, and that's kind of like that's what's happening.
There's some microbes in your water that are like, oh,
yeah,
God!
Totally, yeah. But I mean, that's what's happening here. Just like a big piece of ice broke off another piece of ice, it'll take like thousands of years for it to melt, but like. It's just because it's big. I mean, it'd be like some giants looking down at this, and it looks like my ice and my whiskey at the end of the night, and the ice is melting. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it was a Neil deGrasse Tyson thing that said if you basically were a being if you were a being large enough that the Earth was the size of like a cue ball, it would actually be the Earth would feel smoother than a cue ball does to us. Like that's how the imperfections of a cue ball, if you expand it to global size, would like our mountains would be ginormous compared to what we have now. That's how, right?
That's neat. I've never heard that before. Wow,
I thought that was so cool too. Yeah. Like so, basically, if your finger you could like rub your finger over the Earth, it would just feel super smooth, regardless of like Mount Everest.
Because like you'd be fucking things up. There's like this gigantic finger, just tearing apart the Earth. Whoa.
Well, that's what's going to happen on South Georgia Island, and I'm here for it, and I'm going to watch it, and I'll
watch it with you. We'll do a live cast. We'll do a live show.
Yeah, well,
it's still coming. It's still coming. I may have hit something.
It's a little close. Yeah. Justin, you think it's a little closer? All right. It's time for the parting shot. It's time for the parting shot.
Time for the parting
Am I going first?
Shot. Don't remember, so sure.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I think so. It feels right.
I don't really have a good one today. I was just thinking about something, though, because I saw a thing that Michaela Schifrin is coming. I guess she got injured at the beginning of her season, and she's going for some record.
She got, like, impaled by either her ski pole or the fence. It was gnarly.
I heard about that. But I care more that the Kansas City Chiefs fail at all costs than I care one bit about Michaela Schifrin coming back.
I think that's fine.
And well, I don't know. But why, though, right? I played one season of midget football. I never played competitive football. I never played competitive baseball or basketball. But what happens in any of those sports are way more important to me than any professional outdoor event that we have. I will make no plans ever to sit down and watch any organized outdoor event, but I'll put on a random baseball game during the summertime. They like the two teams I don't care about. Like, I'll watch some baseball. And I guess I was thinking about this because you'd think I'd want to. I center my life around wanting to get outside, and I would think that would be different. That I'd want to see pro skiers and riders do things that they do that are incredible. But I really couldn't find it less interesting. Like pro outdoor sports, I am not interested in at all. And I don't know if it's because mainstream sports are kind of like this way we are able to like unify sort of the broad range of people that exist in the world, like that scene at the end of Major League where the Indians are playing and playing the Yankees, and they cut to the local bar and there's like the blue collar guys and like the punk rock guys all hanging out and like united, through the game. But I just can't imagine a world where that ever happens with outdoor athletes, And outdoor brands and folks out there will keep trying to make that happen. But, I mean, there's obviously examples we were talking earlier about, influencers and stuff like that from the outdoor world who break through. But I just can't bring myself to care about most outdoor competitions unless I'm in one of them. And I think that's kind of weird.
Do you want me to weigh?
That's my parting shot.
Do you want me to weigh in on your parting shot?
Sure, please.
I mean, I think I know why. And it's that you've always watched football and baseball and basketball.
It could be, cultural thing.
Like it means more to you than professional skiing does. I mean, it doesn't matter that you've skied more than you've played football. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that's at the top of your mind. You probably couldn't name 5 professional skiers, but I bet you can name 5 players on the Golden State Warriors for some reason. You know what I mean? Like it's just part of the fabric of your existence in a way that professional outdoor sports aren't. And for the most part, I mean, I also think, in a lot of ways, I think professional outdoor sports are kind of silly. I mean, I don't have an issue.
That's maybe what I think it is.
I don't have like an issue with like professional ski racing. I mean, that seems cool, but like also just like, I don't know, like it just doesn't, it's not dramatic.
I like watching clips, right? Yeah. Like if there's a surf competition or ski, or like, here's the clip of Michaela Schifrin winning her 100th, whatever. Yeah. Like I'll watch it and be like, oh, that's great. Yeah. But I don't want to sit, I wouldn't plan an afternoon around it.
No, I wouldn't either. But I would, again, like with I think it's probably just, it's got to just be something that we're used to. It has to be.
I think it's also that professional regular mainstream sports are more entertaining.
Well, they were made for that purpose, right? I mean, like skiing is a form of transportation that like developed, a way to like get really fast going downhill.
Like fur trappers and shit, right?
But like the NFL exists solely as like they perfected the entertainment aspect of it,
right?
Or lack of if you don't like it, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that after I saw that, and then I saw the Chiefs win. I'm like, God damn it, the Chiefs were going to win again. It's going to bum me out.
Just the parting shot, like nobody wants the Chiefs to win. It's a good enough parting shot. I mean, that's
the whole.
I watched part of that game last night at my local pub, and like everybody was rooting for the Bills. Everybody in there, everybody in America was rooting for the Bills. So I think you should have just stuck to the dislike of the Chiefs, generally speaking, as your parting shot, not so much working in outdoor sports. Well,
What do you got? What's your parting shot?
So mine is to myself. Are we allowed to do that? Parting shots to ourselves?
There's no rules.
Okay,
here.
so it's trying. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this as a parting shot, but basically, after I hurt myself really bad, on a mountain bike like 4 years ago, I went out and bought a bunch of protection, right? I'm like, okay, even though elbow pads or any kind of body armor would not have helped what happened to me, because I broke my shoulder, like still, I was just like, okay, I got it. There's a real chance for actual injury here. I'm going under the knife to prove it. After I got my braces off and I invested all this money in my mouth, I went out and bought a full face helmet because I'm like, I'm not going to fall and like break a tooth after spending all that money on my mouth, right? I mean, it seems logical. I thought of these things last weekend as I'm falling off my bike on a rock garden, effectively naked, save for my shorts and a t-shirt. Just like colliding with boulders with my knees and my elbows and the side of my helmet. All I could think about was my knee protection back home. Just like I can see they're right over there. My POC knee guards, they're just sitting right there. I didn't wear them. I've worn them twice since I got them because I just don't feel like wearing protection. And like as my head is like coming toward the boulders, I'm thinking I should really wear my full face right now, but I'm not. I couldn't tell you why. I just didn't feel like it. And so my parting shot is it's directed toward me. It's directed toward me like last week. It's just like wear the shit, man. Wear the protection. You got it for a reason. Like, yeah, it's nice not to have a full face helmet, but imagine how horrible I would feel if I like woke up in the hospital and all my front teeth were gone. I'd feel bad.
You'd probably feel
pretty horrible. So yeah, I'm just reminding myself now that you bought that shit for a reason. You need to wear it. You're not superhuman. This goes to everybody out there.
Well, the knee pads one, I feel like no matter what, you always just, because you have those freak things. Like, I mean, even the way you described when you fell and hit your knee, like, you probably could have zoomed through that without any consequence on, 9 times out of 10?
That's the first time I've ever fallen there.
10,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right. The full face one, though, I'm like, I don't know. Do you really feel like that one, like, do you really need that? I understand what you're saying, but, like, where you ride, do you feel like that is a requirement?
I would say generally no. Generally, no. But that's what I mean. Not on that. Like that trail isn't particularly technical other than that one rock garden. But I also, the last time I fell, there was a really bad fall where I fell like multiple feet down into like a little gully thing. And like, again, it's kind of a miracle that I didn't hit something more important. But, I guess like don't like to wear the full face because it looks like I'm trying hard. You know what I mean? Like it looks like I'm trying to be like a motocross guy or whatever.
The full face definitely it projects something.
and that's kind of why I don't wear it. But that's so
the
dumb.
Knee pads for sure.
Just wear the knee pads. Just wear the knee pads.
No, because like even if you're like riding, something I don't know.
On the street.
I've wrecked in places you wouldn't think you were. Yeah, what's that?
On the street, you take a stake and tumble.
Or even like double track, and if you fall there, you're still just gonna lose skin, even if you're not like hurt, right? Which that's annoying. So yeah,
I'm not gonna do any of that, but it's still my parting shots to myself to remind myself to do that.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up there. I think that's the show for today.
Okay.
It was a good show.
I'm always sad when
send us your email.
I'm always sad when they end.
I am too. I went really fast.
It did go by fast.
Yeah. Well, like we said, guys, we want your emails. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. I'm sure we said something that would make
Tell us if you want a 2-hour show.
Your feedback
we can keep going,
We'll just keep cranking.
Do you want
a
Joe Rogan-esque 3.5-hour podcast?
That's what we're building towards. I feel like year 5 of the Rock Fight, we're just going to have like the longest podcast.
Just going to wake up at the night and start recording, just like stream of consciousness.
But hey, guys, the Rock Fight's a production of Rock Fight LLC. For Justin Hausman, I'm Colin Truth. Thanks for listening, and he's back to take us out. It's Krista Makes. He's going to sing the Rock Fight fight song. See you next time, Rock Fighters.
Bye.